You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Marcus! I gotta tell you what, man. When I start doing that, people get super fired up. And you know why I'm fired up today for this show, Marcus? Do you know?
Because we're together.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do know. I'm fired up too, man.
Because I'm staring at your pretty face. That is absolutely for sure, yes. But there's another reason, bud. There's another reason. It's because we're back on the air, and we're back here talking about the never quit mindset. We're back here inspiring millions of people right now to help them understand that the mission in life, right, is to endure the pain and to be prepared for it with a positive attitude, to develop that never quit mindset in such a way that you're ready to go. You're ready for the combat of life, and that's why we're here.
It. One reason, one and only, man. And no matter how many different stories and how many different ways they come in here, it's the same. That's what it's all about.
And brother, I love how you put it that way. I mean, I'll sit there and everybody knows me. They'll know that I'm going to start talking about cognitive psychology and positives and all this stuff. And you're like, listen, brother, listen. It's all getting us to the same place. And that's how we function in the combat of life.
That's it. And, you know, everybody's way and how they think about stuff. I mean, that's the beauty about me and you, man. Just two different ways of looking at it. Same direction, same point. So, I mean, a country part of me, man, I got to break it down to about 2 words. That's all I need, 2 words, and I'll know what I'm supposed to do.
I love it. All right. So if this is your first time listening to the TNQ podcast, welcome aboard. We're super fired up that you're here, that you've chosen us to let us come into your life to help you discover the never quit, to enhance the never quit mindset, to figure out what attitude you need to do, because that's our mission. Our mission is to expose people across America and around the world to what the never quit mindset, attitude, emotions, what it's all about, and how you can begin implementing in your life. And we do that in kind of 3 different ways. First, when we start the show out, we like to have a nice little fun historical moment and talk about some great never quit stories in history. Then we like to get into the interview themselves, where we bring on board someone that Marcus and I truly believe will have an impact on your life. A person that has a story that's going to be able to inspire you or light the fire in your gut, as we like to say it, right?
Exactly. And the beauty about it is it could be anybody. Because everybody has that one time when they were in it and were having problems getting out of the situation, and what they did to overcome that is what we're looking for. Because everybody's been in a situation where they needed some help getting out of it. They needed to back up and think about, hey, I got to really put down to get out of this. And everyone's example of how they do that is unique.
That's what's awesome. That's what's awesome. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're going to bring on, our mission again is not only to expose you to the never quit mindset here on the TNQ podcast, but it's also to expose you to all these different types of unique people and how they do it, how they got there. What drives them to succeed in the face of adversity? I mean, that's the special parts of what we're trying to do here. If you want to know more about who we are, what we do, go ahead and visit us at the tnqpodcast.com, at tnqpodcast.com, or you want to know more about the whole package, our whole mission in life, and whether it's the Lone Survivor Foundation, or it's the Team Never Quit speakers, or it's our great store with all our killer gear that we got out there, go to teamneverquit.com and you can really begin to understand what our new mission in life is. All right, so today's show I'm particularly fired up, and I'll tell you why. Is because coming from our background, right, and the fact that we're team guys, and getting this thing launched and kicked off right, I think it's real important for us to hear from our brothers.
Absolutely.
And you were so gracious to suggest having this gentleman come on today, and we'll get to him in a moment. But really what he represents on that next level of never quit, right? And I think that's critical. And the fact that he's a Ranger is unique. I mean, sure. I think everybody was going to expect us to have a team guy on first, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, right. Stick with our kind. That's the beauty about us, though, man. We kind of metastasize into everybody's service and work with them, and so anywhere we go, it's fun. I mean, the jabbing back and forth at each other because we're in separate branches, but when it's go time,
oh, dude, I remember my first exposure was jump school to regular, to the boot, right, to the black shoe and all that. But my first real exposure to Rangers, right, was when I went to 18 Delta. And I'll never forget, one of the instructors was an old Ranger, got in like 70-something, right? His name was Johnny, I forget Johnny something. Maybe he was a sergeant major, and he taught us hand-to-hand. And I remember, we'd go out there on Fridays, and he was a big old country boy like you, right? Yeah. And we'd get out there, and we'd put the helmets on and the pads, and he'd have us walk, and he'd like, all right, so when you're in this position, wham, 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 and so every Friday we'd get our bells rung by this old timer, and I was like, these guys are nuts, dude.
Mine was 18 Delta as well, right. And I remember I was sitting next to, there was 3 of them, and I was sitting next to one of them, and then there was a young Ranger in there, so I guess the equivalent of Seal Pup, right?
Right.
And we started going back and forth at it. I mean, we're young in the community and full of bravado and stuff like that. And he goes, well, where's your trident? You don't have your bird.
Undesignated.
Yeah, that's it. Didn't matter. I graduated, Buzz. I wasn't a SEAL, technically. I mean, I graduated, but I hadn't been through STT or anything like that.
I know it well.
And I go, well, you're a Ranger. He was at battalion, Ranger Battalion. Yeah. So he was there. I mean, he was a Ranger.
He was doing it.
But he didn't have his tab. The young kid didn't have his tab. Right. And I was like, are you a Ranger? He's like, yeah. I go, well, where's your tab? Because, I mean, technically, it's the same thing, is a Ranger, right? But
yeah.
And that's when you start learning about how those little details that make that great. Right.
They make it matter.
Are you there or are you not? Did you go through Ranger school, but you don't have your, I mean, did you go through SEAL training because you don't have a trident? I'll just kind of, I mean, we could go all day with that.
Yeah.
That, man, it was, I had a lot of fun with them guys because they can be as equally as crazy. Man.
They were full tilt. All right. Well, so we both had these great experiences and introduced, and along the way, throughout history, Rangers have played an incredible role in our nation's history and an ability to be great war fighters. So, the historical story that Marcus and I thought would be a good one today for you guys to get the show rolling is the story of Point Duhawk on the D-Day invasion, where the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalions went up and they did this incredible feat on Omaha Beach, which was to scale Point Duhawk. And their mission was to take out these major batteries that were on these cliff heads. And these cliffs were like 100 straight feet up, and to climb up and take out all these guns, right? These Rangers, like 500 Rangers or so. And they had so much resistance and so much battle. Plus, when they originally hit the shoreline, they were late in landing, right? Because
our shelling didn't even hit.
At all. Didn't hit any of those major. But I'm going to throw this out because we have to. Because the NCDUs, our actual brethren.
First on.
First there, they actually had a horrible time clearing the channels to get those boats ashore, right?
Yeah.
We took a 51% casualty rate there, too. We had 66 guys go in to clear those channels, and only 30, I think it was like 31, 32 came back. Anyways, so these guys hit the shore. They had to go over. They scaled these things, and then the other guys couldn't link up, and it was this tremendous battle for them for 2 days.
Right.
And I think when you look at that story, it really embodies the never quit mindset of Ranger Battalion.
Sure. I mean, they're coming over the water, too. I mean, you're throwing in an element Frogman, that's kind of one thing, but not only are you going to have to go in there and take that head on, grounded. I mean, how long did they spend fortifying that beachhead? If you got concrete bunkers set up with
the Northern Wall, or whatever it's called,
cannons hanging out of it, I mean, they're ready.
I mean, Hitler invested. I mean, after they went into France, like that was his first deal. Because he knew we were gonna come eventually.
Right through here.
Right through here.
Yeah, and we did.
A lot of dudes.
Yeah, here we come.
Here we are.
I'm glad you know about it. That ought to tell you a little bit about us.
Exactly.
We're still coming.
The never quit mindset, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So anyways, these Rangers, they get up there, they scale the top. The guns had been moved unbeknownst to them. So they actually went and found all the guns, took them out. That night they had a bunch of German counterattacks. They were almost driven off the cliff.
That tells you about how squared away, because the mission, because you know how it works, man. You can shave it how you want it. And they're like, hey, there's a battery up on top of that ridge right there. Get up there and destroy it. So you get to the top, there's no battery. You're like, it wasn't there.
Go find it.
Exactly. Because you got the one guy's like, it's not here. Cool, we can go back. And then the rest of them are like, well, no. Yeah, we got to go find it. Damn it. Yeah. You know how hard it was to climb up that mountain? One of my boots is wet, and I mean, I got a hitchhiker in there, the size of the Gibraltar Rock, right? That's how it always works, right there.
Totally.
At 1 foot. Yeah, man, that's the comedy. I mean, when you look at that horror and that dark side of it, man, I mean, because you got to laugh about that. Be like, man, not only do we have to climb that thing, and they moved it.
Now we got to go hunt it down.
Now we got to go hike it down.
We're isolated. We're by ourselves. We don't have a full battalion with us. Now let's go find it.
Comms didn't work.
Yeah, nothing.
Couldn't radio anybody to tell you that you were moving off that. That your point.
Hey, by the way, we need reinforcement. No, you ain't got no comms.
No, I know. And I couldn't imagine climbing up the hill, getting compromised when you're hanging on a rope.
Must suck.
I mean, because the way the head of the mountain or the face of that rock was, it was water and reef underneath, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what are you going to leave? You can't leave two guys down there as cover fire because it's straight up, man. They're not going to do you any good, right?
You're going.
I know. I mean, like, hey, I hope he doesn't see me playing Spider-Man on the side of the wall here. Time out, because man, Nazis are nasty, dude.
There ain't no time out in combat, right?
But what about the guy who doesn't know how to climb? Or you get halfway up, you're like, hey, I want to go back. That guy? Like, where you going to go, man?
His arms burn out on the caving ladder.
Somebody grab me.
I just, this story is just such a legendary story for these guys. And I just wanted to, bring some credence to it and to share it with everybody who's listening and to say, hey, go check this out. These guys, this group of men, This unit has been around a long time, proving themselves on the battlefield at the highest level. And Marcus, I never had a chance to work with any Rangers when I was downrange. I mean, I did when I was doing some contractor, but never in the thick of it. Did you ever get a chance to work with those guys?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, that was the lucky part about it, being on a recon team, and then back into Ramadi. I mean, hell, they were set up right out. So we had to drive through their camp to get out of Shark Base.
Right.
That striker, they had that striker battalion set up in there, and man, and I get the back and forth. I mean, I loved it. That's what's important. My dad would tell me about it. He's like, yeah, they'd hang their underwear up with the face, and this gonna be like, piss on you. And I mean, it's just nonstop.
Right.
Because once they figure out who's sitting next to them, it's on.
It's on. And we have a tendency to draw fire.
Especially if we beat on our chest as hard as they do, right? But I being an 18 Delta was so beneficial, man, because once you understand, and I drank the Kool-Aid too. I was a hardcore frogman, but I always had the ability to understand that side of it. And if you know the backstory behind them, just like you do us, you understand why that's there.
And you learn to work with them.
Yeah, that's what makes it great about it.
Yeah.
And then we have some guys who are tabbed up.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
You want to talk about clearing the air. I mean, we walk in and you could see it was chest beating. Like, we got this. And then, Dudley or somebody would raise up that we wear hide it under your lapel there.
Yeah.
There was a reason why he put it on there, just for that.
Just for that reason.
And you roll that up, man, and it said Ranger across it. And then, I mean, the 18 Delta series for us was kind of the end because I stayed buddies with them. And
that's what my main thing was to go over to the SF guys, to go to the Ranger guys.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're just great medics, and they're great guys.
Right, and it helps you're in right there on the medic. Like Marines, they hate everybody, but they love their corpsmen. they love their corpsmen.
When they see
protect them with everything. Right?
Oh, I love it.
So, I mean, they're hell, man, they're the ones they pulled me out of Afghanistan. I mean, all the time. I mean, in Ramadi, who do you think SEALs don't have tanks or Bradleys, none of that, strikers. So when we get jammed up, you got to call somebody. So when I was actually when I got into a leadership position, man, I was like, hey, we need to go down to the local army
talk. Yeah.
And say and get to know them dudes. And there was one guy I'll never forget him. Bulldog was his call sign. He's an Aggie, and that dude would go anywhere. All you had to do was call. I mean, this guy was already a legend in that tall, skinny redneck. And he's like, I'll come get you.
You just give me a call.
Call me. And you could hear him. I mean, there was one time these boys were going down. They were getting hammered bad.
Yeah.
And you could hear it in their voice over the radio. And then you hear Bulldog, I'm coming. And I think I don't know if this is absolute fact, but the word going around was he dropped more main tank gun rounds than anybody since, I think, Patton.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, like he didn't have a problem with it.
He's like, I got rounds. I'm going to use them.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is he was changing out barrels on the Bradley.
That barrel's spent. I mean, God dang, man. But he would mess with us too, because one time we were in an engagement. We were doing a sniper overwatch. We were coming out of the house.
Yeah.
It's kind of quiet for the most part through the whole deal. And as we were coming out, we got engaged. So we backfilled into the house because it happened right as the point man was going out. We weren't half and half yet. And so we called in for an extract, and we called it the Ramadi Mile. That was it. Because he sent we were waiting for a Bradley or something so we could get in the back and roll out, kind of hang out.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. An Abram rolls up and spins around, and we're coming out, and it's the Ramadi Mile because we had to run behind it. And they were laughing, and I mean, because the IEDs all down the road and stuff they're driving down the road that we were getting shot at from. And tanks it's not like a tank has a kind of a low gear or whatever. I mean, and I was huffing and puffing, and when we finally got there, I was like, "Thanks, man."
Bulldog's I love it.
But yeah, he was straight up, man. And then there was a couple times when we got our guys we took a lot of KIAs, but WIAs, man. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because you'd do a map study, and we're like, all right, this is where we're going. We're going to be hitting this house right here. And we'd show up, and it'd be gone. Because he had already had to go in there to take care of business.
And he blew it off.
And took care of it. That kind of deal.
Oh, man. So, Bulldog, if you're listening, dude, we just want to say thanks for being you and being a Ranger. All right, the next guy, the person we're bringing on, I've had the great fortune to recently meet for the first time, and now prepping for this and just spending time with Marcus again and getting to know about this man. He's really an exceptional human being. He's more than just a Ranger. I mean, this man is in my opinion, he's what people should strive to try and be. I know you've become very good friends with him. He's an original founding member of Team Never Quit. He was a Ranger who lost a limb on a deployment, got a prosthetic, came back, got cleared hot to deployed several more times, each time getting injured, more Purple Hearts, but he keeps going back to war, Marcus.
Way he's made.
That's the way he's made.
He's those founding team members. I mean, I stack the deck with people that are past me, kind of in that mentality.
That's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's always, man. I wouldn't even think of. My knees hurt real bad. They do.
Yeah.
There would be times I'm like, my knee hurts. And I look over at him, he's kind of staring at me because he doesn't have one. I'm sorry. Like, I get it.
Right. So, all right. So, the man we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Chad Fleming. So, without further ado, we're going to get this guy on the air. All right. we're right back where we need to be, aren't we?
Right.
We're right here,
on the level.
and we've got one of our own on the show now. Although he is an officer, I will let that slide. And against my better judgment, you talked me into this.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome to the show Chad Fleming, who is a member of Team Never Quit.
Right, founding member, yeah.
Founding member who's been he's on the Lone Survivor Foundation board and
Patriot Tour
original member. I mean, Marcus and Chad, you guys been together a long time, and it's just such a privilege to be sitting with both of you. And Chad, a real privilege having you on, brother. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. It's good to see you guys.
All right. So what we do to get things started is because, you know, you start whacking people upside the head with what's your biggest never quit story, is we like to do the Mad Minute for you. So we're going to run down a list of questions for you. It's rapid fire.
The great part about this is he could go so far down the whole rabbit hole in a Mad Minute. I mean, he just got back. You know what I mean? So, be safe.
All right. So the Mad Minute. All right. So I'm going to start my clock right now. Here we go. First question. If you had to watch a movie twice, what movie would it be?
Tombstone.
Boom. If you had to fight one, who would it be? Schwarzenegger or Stallone?
Schwarzenegger.
Is Google more likely to save the world or destroy it?
Destroy it.
Person you'd love to get drunk with?
Marcus Luttrell.
We do have a good time, man. I mean, it gets real. I knew you were going to say that because that's what popped into my mind. I was like, you got to say me, man, because we have a hell of a time.
All right. Use these three words in a sentence. Ready? Pluto, Navy SEALs, and scissors.
I know that's where his head's at.
Yeah. You may have stumped me on that.
If I had a pair of scissors, the Navy SEALs would be extinct like Pluto. That's the first thing that popped into my head when he left. I was like, I know he's going to go somewhere with that, man.
Dude, I was thinking of the cartoon character Pluto, not the.
That's what I'm talking. Guess what? So my first night here at HQ, I come down after setting up. They get back late. I walk down into the TV room, and there's him on the couch just shoveling food in his face, and he's watching Looney Tunes.
I was getting ready to try to equate the scissors and the seal with Pluto's ass. That's what I was
exactly.
All right, next question. Beatles, Rolling Stones, or Led Zeppelin?
Led Zeppelin.
World's best vacation destination?
Cayman Islands.
Dream career if you weren't doing what you're doing now?
There is no other career. This is it.
I love it. All right, your greatest achievement?
Coming back from my injuries and continuing to do what I love to do and defend this great nation, even though we're surrounded by a bunch of idiots right now that feel like they deserve a handout.
Well, you can't beat that right there.
Straight to the point.
All right, that's the end of the Mad Minute. All right, that's about the best one we've had so far, for sure.
I mean, that thing is great, Chad. We throwing that in there, man, because it breaks down the people we had on. Like I said, man, they're used to people trying to get those gotcha questions, and we're like, hey, look, we're just about to prep what kind of atmosphere this is. We don't care. We're not trying to get you, you know.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into the main block of the interview, and what our listeners are hoping to find is some inspiration or some of that fire, maybe a boot in their ass, right? We like to give that out a little bit too. But something to help them realize that the never quit mindset, and what Marcus and I have been talking a lot about, is everybody's got a great never quit story. It's just how contextually it fits into your own life. And so what we like to just jump right in, and as you look back at your illustrious career of service and you know, just growing up and your commitment to the country, what would you say is one of your greatest never quit stories there is?
Coming back after the loss of a leg, you know, of course, as early on as that was in the war, nobody was wanting to sign on and let anybody go back as an amputee, much less go back into combat. But it really started before that. I mean, during the gunfight, and I mean,
That's
know,
right. Yeah,
guys can. Marcus can actually understand this and have a real good understanding of it. Things start happening in your mind, in your brain housing group when all this is going down, and what it starts telling you is, hey man, I'm going to be different from the rest of my life. Things are changing so much now and so drastically, so fast. There's no way I'm going to recover from this, possibly ever. And so really, you start going down that dark hole before you ever reach one of those hospitals. And you kind of get into such a mindset of, I can remember rolling into Balad. I'd only been awake maybe a few hours after having surgeries done in the combat support hospital in Missoula. And then, get on a flight, roll into, which by the way was the last C-141 used ever for medevac.
Wow.
So you talk about being in a dark hole, and then there's all these people out there taking pictures, and generals and stuff like, this is great.
God.
This is the last. Like, yeah, dude, you want to get on this gurney and tell me how great it is? And so, you get in there and you roll into Balad, and you're going to be there for 18 hours. And those 18 hours, when anybody gave you a time frame, you immediately just went into a downward spiral. You're like, man, this sucks. I only want to be here for 8 minutes. I don't want to be here for 18 hours. And then, they package you up. And of course, as you guys know, nothing in the military is ever on time. So that 18 hours turns into 3 hours, turns into 27, however many hours it was later, and then finally get to Germany. Then they want to start doing surgeries there. You don't have any of your loved ones with you. One of your team members is traveling with you, but odds are you either know the guy really well or you don't know him at all because they couldn't afford to lose one of the good guys.
Right.
So now you're like, well, I got no family members with me. I'm in this deep, dark hole. And man, it's hard to come out of that. And then when you finally make it to Walter Reed, and you finally, when I got to Walter Reed the first time, I don't even know if I told Marcus this. I was married at the time, not to my current wife, but she wasn't even there when I showed up. I was 3 days at Walter Reed before she ever showed up. The first thing she said when she walked in the room was, hey, I didn't sign up to take care of anybody.
Yeah, I know that one.
Holy.
And so you're already feeling sorry for yourself. You're already in a bad position. You're laid up in a hospital bed. You can't move. Your legs half blown off. And then you get hit with this news to add to the stress that you're already dealing with. So
I was kind of hoping to have you on board to help with this little problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, it's like, hey, I tell you what, here's a road map and a ham sandwich. Get the hell out.
Right.
Take off. I don't need you. But still, it's hard to get over that, especially when you're dealing with stuff like that, and you don't know the outcome. You take a Type A personality like we all are, and you say, hey, guess what? You're going to be different for the rest of your life. That's a hard thing to grasp sometimes, and that's a hard thing to really understand. And then you start compounding life's misgivings on top of that, and man, before you know it, you're in a hole of depression that you don't know if you're going to come out of or not.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, I was there. I was in that hole. And Marcus knows a good friend of ours, Chuck Urey. Chuck was right down the hallway from me, and this dude is a character no matter what, and luckily that guy was able to come in and say, hey man, pull up your bootlaces or your bootlace. Because I only have one.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're not going to sit here and feel sorry for yourself, dude. Let's get up and let's race wheelchairs down the hallway or something.
The teammate.
But
sure, yeah, absolutely. Why shouldn't you have the guys who have been hit like that, who can't go back to that? Just keep them online. Especially if you got a lot of guys coming into the hospital at times, like, hey, here, I know where you're at. I was right there, but this is where we're going to be here in the future.
Let's do it
that's
together.
the inspiration, man. When Chad, we do everything together, and unless he has his shorts on, forget he has that.
Wow.
Missing that leg. The guy, he's all the time. He's just.
That's a testament to you, Chad. And one of the interesting things that I always love.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, one of the things that I always love discussing with people too is, hey, this never quit mindset, it just doesn't all of a sudden you snap your fingers and then it falls in your lap, right? It's a process, and it's something that takes a long time. So one of the things we always like to ask after a person shares these incredible stories with us is, when did you first notice, hey, there's such a thing as a never quit mindset, and who was the person that kind of introduced you to that?
All right, led you back out of the rabbit's hole.
I'll be honest. During that point in time at Walter Reed, I mean, we're talking, this was 2005. And so Marcus knows it really well as I do. You know, when I first showed up there were so many people in the hospital. They put me as an orthopedic case on the OBGYN
Oh my God.
because they didn't have anywhere to put guys.
Oh, if I was,
I mean, they were stacking like cordwood. You know, between Afghanistan and Iraq in 05, they were stacking guys like cordwood and Walter Reed. And you know, we come from, and Marcus will tell you, I'm like him, man. I'll call the shot like it is. We come from an elitist mindset, and we come from an elitist type mentality, and I'll never apologize for that, you know. And to be honest with you, I really don't want to hang around people that don't have that mentality. And so when I got to Walter Reed, I saw so many freaking oxygen thieves going around that joint.
Yeah.
I decided, you know what? That ain't going to be me, man. And then, like Marcus said, there was a few guys there that came from the community, and so you immediately start to gravitate towards those people.
Yeah.
And so that's what I tell people all the time when they're like, well, hey, man, how do you do this? How do you get over this? I said, well, first of all, you got to figure out, you got to find somebody that's going to help push you to that level, and you got to surround yourself with those kind of people. Your buddies that are sitting at home playing video games and smoking weed and stuff, they're not going to be the ones that motivate you to get out of this hole you're in.
Amen.
And you know, I think when I really lost my mind was I went down to physical therapy one day, and I walked in, and I was always trying to stay as long as they'd let me stay. They'd end up running me out of there, and I'd come back in the afternoon. I'm like, hey, you don't understand. My goal is to get better and get out of here. And I go in there one day, and it was standing room only. And I'm like, hey, I asked the therapist, I'm like, who are all these people in here? And she goes, well, they're actually patients. And I said, that's funny. I said, I'm in here every day, 2 to 3 times a day, and I hadn't seen 75% of these people. And she goes, well, the Playboy Playmates are coming in today to sign autographs. And I lost my mind. I jumped up on the PT table, and I said, hey, I know for a fact that I outrank everybody in this room. So shut up and listen to what I have to say.
you know he's pissed when he starts pulling
all
that.
y'all suck.
Literally, you
like,
all
every
suck.
one of y'all suck. Like, in case you hadn't figured out, your first duty is to this country, and you're not doing it. You know, and I went on a rampage, man. And when I got down, the therapist was like, you can't talk to them like that. And I'm like, the hell I can't. They're
Military,
still, every
baby.
one of them's active duty.
I love it,
Long
man.
story short, man, next thing I know, I'm getting hemmed up by a colonel saying, hey, you got to be a little more general when you tell them, like, why? I'm just like they are. I'm an amputee. Well, I don't have to be politically correct. Get away from me.
Yeah.
You know, but that, going back to what you asked, that's kind of what really lit my fire right then. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to be that guy that can prove to these people that it can be done. And not only that, but I mean, it's just from, the fear of failure. I mean, Marcus has heard me when I speak before. I mean, I tell people, hey, you're going to fail at something in your life. It's going to happen, but you're only a failure when you start blaming other people. And that's what all those people were doing. They were blaming everybody else, the recruiter, the guy next to them, or whoever. They were blaming all them for the reason they were at Walter Reed. And it's like, hey, man, you didn't fail. You did your job. You got injured. Suck it up, figure out how to get over it, and move on with life.
And I think, man, if you act like a cripple and you want people to treat you like one, they will.
They will, in a heartbeat.
And you got
Everybody's
guys
afraid to.
Yeah, you got guys that are like, man, you don't lean down and talk to me, man. I'll be back up in a second. Kind of. It's just not. It's just, hey, man, it was just my leg.
Yeah.
I'm still going.
My heart's still here.
Right, I mean,
my head's still in the game.
Yeah.
I'm still 100% committed to what I believe in. This fucking tab right here means something.
Yeah.
Same thing with the trident. I mean, that's a big deal. And what's so cool to hear you say those things, Chad, is that, you know, that deficiency in your life, it was going to be a catalyst for your success. It was gonna propel you to that next level of performance and to push yourself even harder than before. And what I want to know, and I think what the people who are listening to you want to know, is where did you learn that process?
You know, I don't know that it's a learned process. I mean, I think it's the DNA and the genetic makeup and how we're raised. I mean, you know, if you ever hear Marcus speak, you know, he'll tell you about how his dad treated he and Morgan when they were growing up. You know, yeah, they weren't abused, but man, when they needed to be tuned up, and sometimes when they didn't need to be tuned up, they still got tuned up. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's the way I was raised too. I mean, my mama, and I know Marcus's mama well, my mama never told me, hey, wait till your daddy gets home. My mama would beat me and say, oh, by the way, when your daddy gets home, you can deal with him too. And it's like, whoa, man, one of you pick.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need it from both sides.
Let's slow this down a little bit, Ma.
Can we talk about that?
I really do. I think it's instilled in you from when you grow up, and it's just the makeup of who we are. Can someone change? Absolutely. You know, if they don't have that complete makeup, they can change, but they got to want to change.
Where's that want come from, you think?
You know what, Chad, here, and the way Chad and I brought up and everything, and I remember and the learning everything, going through all that stuff, when I got hit, I just could not wait to get back online, to get back there, and just to go back for one day if it was, just to prove to myself that, because my dad always said, if you get whipped, get back up and go back at him till you whip him. And keep taking the beatings, because eventually you'll figure it out. And man, when you get hit hard, it takes you down to the bad place. They essentially rip everything we are out of us when we get hurt because we think it's over. And that's all we got is this machine. And going back, no matter what that took, as soon as I stepped in there, I had never had a problem since.
Really?
Yeah.
No. If guys would just, I know it sounds idiotic, man, but if you got enough strength to muster up just to go back, it's getting back on the horse. I mean, it's an old cowboy saying, you get throwed. My mom loves to say this. She's like, there's never been a horse that had been rode. There's never been a rider that hadn't been throwed. And I grew up with that, man. And we got beat. Firefighters don't stop being firemen. Police officers, hell, he's a police officer too. You know, I mean, he's always finding some way to get back up online. And when we met, man, I hitched my wagon to him and I was like, take me on a ride. Because if you try to hang out with dudes that are stronger and better and fat. I mean, he's missing a leg, still out, that kind of stuff. And I see that.
That's awesome.
And that's one of them deals. It doesn't matter what he's doing. You're gonna benefit from it.
Chad, when you finally got your physicality back, obviously you were mentally prepared. You were driving forward. What was the challenge like to convince them to allow you to redeploy and go back to combat?
I mean, it was painful. I mean, you guys both know how the military works. You know, nobody wants to be that one person that says, okay, I'm going to sign off on this because if it goes bad, that's the person they're going to man. You know what I mean?
Instead of some leader in the military going, hey, I need bodies, get your butt over here. And now it's all, oh, man.
They keep passing the buck, man. It's like, hey, we'll go talk to this guy. We'll go talk to this guy. You know, finally what it took was one of the JSOC surgeons saying, hey, listen, you know, I think if you can keep up with this group of individuals, then who can tell you no, you know? And so then when you went and started doing the physical things back basically through a quasi-type selection process, you know, like Marcus was saying a minute ago, they realized, hey, man, you can keep up with, you know, 70% of the able-bodied individuals. So at this point in time, why are we telling you no?
Right.
You know, but there's a catch to that too. And I just went through something like this about a month ago. And you've got to be man enough to know when it's time to hang the boots up. And I've told everybody, if I ever get to the point where I feel like I'm going to be a hindrance or I'm going to slow you down, I'll be the first guy that raises my hand and says, hey guys, I'm out.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm going to run your ass in the ground as long as I can.
And that comes with all your experience too, because while we're coming up, it'd been like, hey, behind the scene, I'm rubbing the jelly on because my legs are hurting, but I still got enough man in me to keep trying to go. And that's what happened to me, man. I was more of a liability than an asset, and it upset me, but I understood it.
And when you hear that moment, does it ignite a new struggle? But because you guys were already knocked way down, you mustered up, that commitment to get back in. You never quit. You kept back in, and then you hit the point where people that you respected are like, hey, all right, maybe it's time. Is it easier then, or is it still just as hard?
It's the same for us. I know this for a fact. It's kind of like the fire, the motivation I had to get back up online was still there. Just because I wouldn't been able to go down that door, like with the door shut, man, we find another one. There's, like we said, there's a lot of different ways to get to the same point, and we exhausted every effort I did, and then I was done. He's still
rolling.
That tells you how much more of a man he is than me.
And he's got one leg, bud. How's that feel?
He's such a bad SF guys get hurt, and he's still better than they're like standard issue military Mark 1 motto. You're still better. Where's the Incredible Hulk serum? Because as soon as that comes online, or the Iron Man suit, I'm in, dude.
Well, David, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, getting into that haze, that black fog. I went back to Walter Reed twice again.
Wow.
After separate injuries. And so I actually think it was easier for me at the time. And a lot of people don't understand that. Even my dad doesn't understand that. My dad was like, son, you're an idiot. There's no way you can be from my loins, You're going to go back and get injured again. And then, what's wrong with you? But it's like Marcus said, you're getting back on that horse, man. Just like when Marcus went back to Ramadi. You're going back in and you realize, you know what, man, I can still do this. And the difference is I know what's on the other side of that black hole.
I made it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I made it. And so not to say that you kind of have a sense of arrogance, but you do have a serious case of confidence. And you're like, you know what, I lived through it. I can make it. So give me what you got. We'll see what happens.
That was the one thing when I went back, and it didn't come from me, and I had never expected to hear this, but my new guys were literally out in it and be like, just because you're standing here, I feel a little bit more comfortable. Because if I'm losing my mind and Chad's losing his mind in combat after the stuff that we've been through, then we got a problem. But until that escalation, I'm like, we're good, kind of check it out. But
we'll be all right.
When you see the
over there, just stand up, take a knee, turn outboard, drink some water. We'll be all right.
You see the old guys sweating, then maybe there's something to it. That was the only added benefit I brought to the Ramadi deal.
Hey, but Marcus can relate too, man, because when you do go over there and they're like, all right, man, we're going to do a half into somewhere, and you're like, hey, Mr. Helicopter Pilot, when's the last time you guys serviced this thing? You sure everything's good? All right, are we leaking oil? All right, that's a good sign. You're sitting here going through that whole thing going, man.
Hey, guys are too that's a too proud moment that you just told about it. I absolutely Sam, I'm like, hey, we cleared this route, right? I don't want to get busted up like that again. That was that kind of, and I'll never forget Tom Rhino, my troop commander. Something happened. They were all the EOD guys were rolling in, blown to hell, and I was like, sir, man, I think they know we're coming. It's probably a bad idea. He looked at me, and goes, well, they always know we're coming. Suck it up. I called my card right there. I was being of course, it was a little bit more elaborate than that. I can't use the language. And into my face, jocked up. We were rolling out the door, and I just looked and I was like, I'm being a bitch, aren't I? And he's like, yep. I'm like, all right, sir. When you get it handed to you, man, you can't help it. That little spidey sense is back there, man.
You take that. Go ahead.
David, watch Marcus's reaction when I say this. I got to the point, man, where I would download water so I could carry more magazines.
Oh, my God. Checking that thing, making sure that spring in that mag. I was like, this is going to go off. This is going to go off, man. I carry an extra mag in my hand. You know, I mean, one of them kind of deals. Sure, good, man. Battery, checking the battery. Better not go dead. You know, you lose a battery in combat. I mean,
oh my God.
And that's the funny part about it, because you know everybody's like that.
I carry 2 magazines on the back of my plate rack and tell the dudes, hey, man, if we get into it, just start handing me mags off my back plate rack. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Make sure all y'all have the same weapon that I am carrying, too.
Literally. And if it goes down, drop into prone next to me, you know? I love it. All right. Well, you know, the one amazing thing is that I love to hear when I get a chance to sit with you know, guys that I have tremendous respect for, like you too, and you start hearing the joy in you guys with which you tell these stories, because you realize the profound nature of what you went through, not in that arrogance level, but in that high level of confidence. And you also realize these wonderful lessons that you learn, and that they're going to be with you forever, and to make, you know, to take them on board and to utilize them in a really special way. You know, and what I also like is that as your maturity evolves and your wisdom evolves, did you find yourselves wanting to share that wisdom more frequently? Like to pull that young whippersnapper off to the side, and instead of outing them in front of everybody, but pull them off to the side and get into them, and in a sincere way say, hey, listen, this is what you got to think about.
And that comes with experience. Go ahead, Chad. You can take that one. I think it's the same.
Here's the hard part with that one, David and Marcus. You know, once again, I think I can speak for him. He'll relate to this. The hard part is there's that line between you or myself or Marcus feeling like it's being boastful, and you're kind of bragging about something that you did, and then that line of, hey, I'm actually helping this guy. And I have problems with that sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to come across as somebody that's going, hey, you know, that's why I laugh at these dudes on Facebook and, you know, and all these guys, and especially these stolen valor guys. It's like, hey, if you really knew what you were freaking talking about, man, you wouldn't be putting that on there.
Wouldn't be bragging about it.
Yeah. You know, and it's, you know, people, oh man, if I get in a gunfight, this is what I'm going to do. And it's like, you've obviously never been in one then, because that's the last, you know.
That's right when I shut it down right there. I'm like,
you do, but.
Hey, I think you touched on something here, Chad. I'm sorry about this. And I'm glad, that's why I had you on here, man, because you pull something out of us that I probably wouldn't think about. But man, them guys that get into it real bad, and I think this could go both ways. You get into it real bad and you make it through on the other side, you could either get a God complex or you have that spidey sense tingling on the back of your neck. And I often thought that the young guys saw me asking the questions and packing the extra mags. Like, looks like he's slipping. He might be losing. He might get. I'm like, hey man, I'm just been to that dark side, and I'm not embarrassed to talk about it. I mean, I'm grabbing a couple of extra mags. I don't move like you do anymore, youngin'. Stand by. But it's okay to feel like that. Yeah. I mean, we went back. He still goes back, and we both felt like that. But we still went. That's the difference, man. I went back, but yeah, not only am I kind of uneasy about it, but I'm here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I hate to jump out of airplanes, but I'll follow him out or you out anytime.
Right.
And that was what it was about. And that was the hard part too, man, is because the guys, they're still so fired up. We eat off that. We thrive off that. So, I mean, even when the time in my head, I'm like, man, probably not a good idea to go back. My whole back's kind of, and the young guy be like, hey, you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready, man. Let's get it on.
So Chad, now in where you're at and where you're going and that wisdom, and you know, obviously when we first started the interview, you talked about this insatiable appetite to serve the country, to continue serving it as long as the powers that be allow you to, or that your family wants you to, or that you still have it in you. What happens in your mind when you know that portion of your life is over? Where do you take all these incredible experiences and where do you apply them?
I mean, I think it's kind of the stuff that we used to see on the Patriot Tour. You know, for us, we go out and tell a story. We don't realize the impact that it has on somebody's life. And then they come up to you afterwards, or, you know, they send some long email in saying, hey, you don't know me, but you just helped me do X, Y, and Z, and I was facing this in my life. And, I think either that's where you go with it, or I tell you where else I've recently gone with it. And, I contacted Marcus's dear friend, Governor Perry, and I said, hey, I want to, when I'm around, after seeing what's happening to all these policemen and policewomen and stuff on a daily, getting shot up in these cities and stuff, and I'm like, hey, I don't want compensation, Governor. I said, if you'll put me in contact with whether it's DPS or the sheriff's office or whatever, I'll be more than happy on my free time to come out there and try to help these folks, because they're getting ambushed. I mean, folks are using guerrilla tactics on law enforcement in the United States. And I'm like, I'm not one of those guys looking out here to get some $150,000 contract with the sheriff's office to train them. I want to give back. I want to go and say, hey, not only can you make it and survive through this stuff, but hey, here's the way to do it. And so, I mean, that may sound like a bit of a cliche answer to what you asked, but I think that's how it's done.
Now, I love that idea. In fact, I'm a big Dave Grossman fan, right? I love Killology. I love On Killing. I love On Combat. I think the guy's a brilliant man. But the one thing that I always found interesting is Dave is a guy that a lot of it is based on research, right? So in my mind, when someone like you, Chad, says, I want to get out there and give back to these people from a place, a true authentic place of real world experience, man, that's what these people need. And that's what they'll gravitate towards. And the work that you would be doing in that case would change real lives. I mean, those lives that are on the front line facing it every day. Would you feel if in that sense, you think the level of service you feel now is equal in knowing that those people are better prepared to survive?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely it would, but the other side of that is, and I never knew this until I had kids. I never knew the love of something until I had my own kids. And when you sit back and you think about that, you're like, all right, man, these people are the first line defense. My kids go to school and I can't be there. Now, the other part, the reason I want to know these folks real well is so if anything ever does go down at my kid's school or Axe and Addie's school and Marcus and
Boom.
I call the team together, they don't shoot us when we get there. They'll know who we are.
Yeah.
We're
Planning ahead.
We're coming in.
We're coming in, and we're coming in hot.
Coming in hot. Like I get it, man. I take, first of all, it's guys like us, and this is the way I try to put it in perspective, and what you asked him going on to the next deal. And so guys like us and everything that we found out what we were unique at, we went and did it and went down the rabbit hole pretty far. But what he's doing now, so basically the way we look at it is I had to take all that in order to do this.
Awesome.
I mean, that's how else would we have gotten this way, right?
Yeah.
And the pass down on that is no big deal. I mean, what else? It's kind of like we're not team guys anymore, man, but that's okay. I don't hold on to that. I mean, I love telling the stories and seeing the new guys, and that's the way it is, and it's through the family. And when we get out doing this, what we're doing is something that we learned and adapted to, was provided to us by the American people. It's only self-becoming of us to give something, share it back with them if it's beneficial, right?
Yeah.
We can't. I mean, we're not going to show anybody how to pie and clear down and that kind of stuff. That's, you want to learn how to do that, grab a rifle, in my opinion.
Right.
But the other stuff, how we do it,
All right.
Yeah.
I got some for you, and this is a big one that I think. And Marcus and I talked about it in the first show, where we were really trying to define that never quit mentality. And I think a lot of people they're under the presumption that to get there, you have to be able to. It's almost a mental, physical, emotional place of perfection, and it's just not the case. Because I know when I was going through Hell Week, man, and we laughed about it, I thought about quitting just about every 10 minutes.
Ask me how many times I thought about staying. That's probably a shorter number. You know what I mean?
So my question to you, Chad, and all the stuff that you went through and all the different training, does it pop up in your head? Does that real, honest to God moment of going, you know what? What am I doing? I don't need to do this. Does that pop up in your mind?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like every day is a great day for me, man. There's days I wake up and I don't want to put a leg on. There's days that I may be having a bad day with a piece of shrapnel may be working itself out. And when it does, and it's sitting inside of that piece of carbon fiber, it just grinds on the bone and the carbon fiber all day. And it's absolutely miserable, and those are the days that you question, man, do I just want to quit? Do I want to stop what I'm doing? But then, if you've ever thought about quitting, or if someone's ever quit something, which we all have, man. I mean, whether it was soccer when we were 8 years old or whatever, and you quit, and then you wait about 31 and a half seconds after that, and you go, man, why did I do that? That wasn't really that bad, So if you've ever tasted that, then that's not the route you want to go. And then the other side of that is you got to make up in your mind that you want to live your dash. And when I say live your dash, everybody knows the day that they're born. It's going to end up on your tombstone. And then there's going to be an end date that's going to end up on your tombstone that only God knows when that's going to happen. And that little hyphen in the middle is your dash. And you got to want to live every minute of your dash, because that's the most important piece of a headstone. When I go to Arlington now, I no longer look at the beginning date and the end date of my buddies. I look at that dash and I go, all right, man, here's some great stories about this guy. Here's some good times. Here's who this person was. And that's what you have to make up your mind to do.
There needs to be a long gap between those two numbers. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to make up your mind that I'm living my dash for every day that I got until God takes me off of this earth.
Well,
I mean, that's straight up.
That's
we're
straight
together.
up, man.
We're together a lot. All right. And I mean, there's days we're at Patriot Tour, and I mean, last year, first show, I was in my dressing room and I was hurting, man. It was bad. And finally, he comes down and he goes, "Get up." All right. Because we all know when you're in that spot. You're like, I'm in the spot right now, and just give me 5 minutes. I know myself well enough to get out of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be confused with taking a day off.
Right.
That's our biggest guilt is right there, or not guilt, but our problem is we don't stop.
Right.
Thank God the wives, because
we'd go until
our battery's solar powered, man. You know what I'm talking about? We roll.
It's that continuous energy that just never ends.
Yeah, I mean, I'll walk in, dude, his legs bleeding. He's got his thing off, and I'll walk up, and he'll tell everybody else, like, I'm good, man, I'm good. And I was like, hey, man, how's the leg? He's like, it's good. I'm like, hey, man, how's the leg? And then he'll come out with it. I'm not asking. I'm really asking. And I'm like, man, take care of that. Then about 3 months later, he's like, oh, I'm thinking about getting my leg. And I mean, he just takes it, man. And he's not human. We shouldn't have him on here. Doesn't count.
David, it also comes down to self-respect for yourself and respect for others.
Awesome.
I think one of the reasons that, Marcus and I have seen a lot of people come and go within the circle. Some of it was because they were just bold-faced liars and didn't do half the things they said they did. And the other part of it was because they weren't a self-respecting man. They screwed up. And instead of coming up and saying, hey, here's what I did. I know what I did. I was wrong. I'll fix it. It won't happen again. They dodged, that bullet as long as they could until it finally came to the point where, hey, man, I know you're screwed up. I know the whole time you've been freaking lying to me, and now I'm actually pissed. And I think that's one of the reasons that Marcus and I have had such a long relationship, to where we've never had that situation. He'll tell you, I've come to him before and been like, hey, dude, I screwed up. I'm sorry.
There's a big difference between being on the team and and actually being a member of the team. It's like we live like this. This is how we live. So there's no make believe, and people who that false part of that, and they get into this circle and how hard this rolls. They obviously hadn't had that never quit moment yet. Maybe they're having it right now, but it's not one of them deals for us because it's always straight up. I mean, if I screw, I'm like, I walk up, same thing. Hey, I screwed up. What'd you do? Don't do it again. Because he knows I don't have to say, he'll beat himself up so damn bad. And that's because we're so close. I mean, I want him to whip my ass. Please, man. Don't give me don't let me do this to myself. Beat my ass so I can just get past it. Yeah. Because I will literally yell at myself longer than you will.
Well, and it's the thing that I think you and I were talking about leading up into starting this, right? And helping people understand that getting to that moment is not, you don't do it by yourself. Getting through the moment, you don't do it by yourself. Getting past the moment, you don't do it by yourself. It takes a team, right? And it's in what is the pinnacle aspect of that team is that trust that you're talking about. And that trust is given only in the moments where you know it's going to be reciprocated on the equal level.
That's how a team is formed. Teams form in adversity, like we always say. I mean, you don't care what you do. If you're part of a team, man, and athletes, they get branded this the hardest. I mean, you got that one badass, and he's doing everything like that. Let me tell you something. He ain't that bad without them dudes standing in front of him. And the guys who know that are the ones that have a long career. Those guys that don't understand that, don't.
Absolutely.
Period.
So Chad, the last thing, and we're going to end this segment here. I want to just ask how, in your mind, how does that trust evolve? Where does it come from? And where is the forging process? And so where do people start looking for that trust in their lives in order to get up and get into that mix of their life?
Well, the first thing is you can't force any of that trust on anybody. You know, no matter how bad you want to be somebody's friend, no matter how close you want to get to that person.
Money, panicking, nothing else.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time.
To force yourself to be into that position, you're wrong from the get-go. It ought to be something as easy as walking into your mom and dad's house, you know? But you got to be a man enough to realize, well, hey, you know what? This isn't going to work. You know, as bad as I want this to work, this isn't going to work. But what people do is they get that false sense of, you know, hey, I'm going to get into this group of people and I'm going to become one of them. And, you know, I'm going to say whatever I got to say to get in there. And then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to stay in there. And it's like, whoa, man, you're trying too hard. You're trying way too hard. You know, if I can go without talking to Marcus or his brother Morgan, I saw Morgan I saw Morgan the day I got home.
Wow.
And I hadn't seen Morgan in probably a year, and we picked right back up where we left off. You know, as soon as he saw me, he came running up, gives me a hug, and we just started talking and you know, and then I knew from the moment I walked away that while I was at that event, if I needed anything, all I had to do was yell loud enough for him to hear it. I knew he was coming with everything he had with him.
And then I'd be coming. And what I'm talking about, that's the line.
That's cool.
And Chad, you said something always just like normal, man. Look, when you start out doing something, the love for you that you have for it is what's going to drive you.
Amen.
I mean, I wanted to be a SEAL, but I wanted everything that came with it. The scars, the stories, the deaf ears, the broken bones, cleaning the crappers when you get in trouble. That was my life. And it's the love you have for whatever it is you're trying to obtain, that if you're doing that with somebody who loves it as equal or if not more, then they can reinstate. That's how that, you know, especially when it gets hard, you're like, maybe I don't love it this much. Well, if you got that dude right there, it's like, yeah, we do, we love it. I mean, that was the best thing about Morgan. And these guys are like, yeah, we love this pain, this crap. You know, it's wonderful. Morgan was so fired up, dude. He's like, did they drown you? That seems so awesome. I'm like, no, it's not. It's terrible. You know what I mean? And then as you're going through that, the love you have for that, whatever it is you're trying to gain is shifted to the guys that you go through it with to get to it. And that's ultimately the biggest problem when we get out, because there's no pass down. There's no pass down from that to what you're supposed to become in civilian world. But that's what this is. Hell, we're kind of creating that, filling that gap now that I think about it. I didn't didn't start out with that mindset, but that's now what makes sense. Now I can keep going because I feel like I'm part of a team. When him and Morgan and the guys you call up, man, at any point in time, middle of the night, he can call me up and talk about what's on TV. I know what's going on behind that question. So I'll just tell him what's on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ain't going to talk about what went down. I'll talk about whatever in the hell you want to talk about and get that out of your head. That's what we do.
And that's awesome.
But David, you were asking about how you build that trust. I think you first have to understand the value of the word trust within a friendship. And the minute you alienate that and you do something that causes a break in that, you can't recover, man. Not in this group, not in this. You just can't do it.
That's the baseline. Truly, that's the you can't go past it. You go past it, man. You're not. Hey, that's tough, dude.
That's awesome. Well, Jeds. I think this was an amazing start. Of course, just some really amazing knowledge and wisdom that you guys brought. Chad, it's such an honor to have you on. I'm really looking forward to, getting into the after actions report where you're going to literally start teaching our listeners the how-to on some of these things, how to really get into the weeds of developing that never quit mindset. So, if you're listening, just hang on and go visit us at the tnqpodcast.com website. You'll hear the after actions report with Chad, and you'll really get a gist for it. And so, Chad, thanks, buddy, for coming on, and stay tuned. All right.
I know you just got back and got some. Appreciate you busting out on this. Look forward to seeing you next weekend. This weekend, I gotta look that up.
Absolutely, man.
It'll be fun. It'll be real fun.
All right. Now I know why you love that dude so much.
Right? Good man.
I mean, when you think about his story, when you think about getting your leg blown off, I mean, for 99.999% of people on this planet, it's literally, all right, how am I going to be normal again?
Man, what I took away from that, what I always have taken away from hanging around him and just is the fact that what you come into this world with isn't necessarily what you need to get through it. Right? I mean, you talk about positive attitude, and he's missing a major appendage. As successful he is and as hard as he charges, man, he runs faster than I do, which is not a big deal.
You're
really.
pretty slow, dude.
I know, I am. It's terrible. The plaques on the Buds compound wall? They need to have one for just like
the biggest goon squad November of all time.
Not the hustle or fire in the gut, just like, damn.
How'd you get?
You know what happens when you run slow, right? You take more beatings.
All the time.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, something jumps on you even a mosquito, the slow movers are kind of like taking more of a hit. It's just.
Well, tell everybody what the Goon Squad is. I mean, because we got listeners here who aren't probably really familiar. What's the Goon Squad?
In training, anytime we're moving as a class, all right, it's in a formation. The tail, you kind of want to be in the front, all right, especially in runs and anything kind of that nature, which is Buds in its entirety. But the last half of it is part they consider you're not putting out. You're not up here with
the accordion.
Right. Even if we're in a line, you know what I mean? And you can't go any further. It's awesome the way they do it. That's the Goon Squad. They stop you from running. The rest of the class goes ahead and then commence with the beatings. And then sometimes they get really great with it and they break it up into Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie Goon Squad. So you actually have to graduate from Charlie to get to Bravo to Alpha. Well, I mean, it was awesome in my class. It was well known, like, don't be behind me. And there was only one other dude he was still faster than me, man, but that we were back there together. And then it got to the point where they would start the Goon Squad no matter what, where I was at.
Period. That's it. You were the barometer of where it started.
I'd come across that line, man, and instructors had a big old grin on his face and just be pointing out to the zone. And like I don't even stop and pass go, just go ahead to the zone, which I wanted to do because my pain. I was like, man, dude,
just let me get that cold water. Let me hit that cold water.
If I'm in the zone, I don't have to run. I mean, look, man, I literally learned how to fight because I can't run. I'm like, hey, man, you gotta run out of here, dude. I got nothing, dude. I'm in that low gear. That's why they packed me full of weight. Damn, I'm gonna get there, but
Oh, I love it. Well, listen to this.
that's not a secret either, is it?
No. I mean, it's widely known.
And my brother, my mirror, he's my mirror, right? Is a gazelle. Morgan he flies, man.
He flies.
And I think he used to get beat because he was so much faster than me.
Literally, we're going to find
we're going to do that twin deal.
You laid the predicate pretty steep for your brother. You didn't do him any favors.
We had the same instructors. And since it started out like, hey, Trell, what are you doing back here, man? And then he's like, no. And as soon as he goes, no, I'm the other one. It's,
Stand by. So the Goon Squad, that's basically, that doesn't even exist in Chad Fleming's life. I mean, to go get that prosthetic put on to battle his way back. I mean, imagine the fight of him getting to go back to combat. Going back to combat multiple times, getting injured again multiple times.
And you know it. He thinks about it because that conversation we had about the extra mags and making sure everybody's... so you can tell he's been hit.
And not just one, like a little...
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he got
after you get it so many times, you're like, well, hey, man, maybe I'm going to keep that guard up. Started eating jabs.
Hey, make sure... I might add another mag on my back plate. That was my favorite part, but... seriously, folks, as you listen to that man's story, I hope you're hearing what he's saying, that it's the never quit mentality is not just about the action itself. It's about what's inside you. It's about digging down deep and realizing that your purpose in life is bigger than yourself. That your purpose in life is about your team around you and that service.
One of the things that is great about Chad too, man, is you can see that he's been hurt. You know what I mean? Like I still have all my limbs and injuries, and so when you look at me, people are like, dang, but it's all titanium inside. He's got the exterior.
Yeah.
So not only do you see what he's doing, thinking he has all his appendages, when you find out he's missing a leg and doing all that, it's just inspiring, right?
He's one of the most inspiring dudes I've ever met. And it's not just so much that he's doing it, but when you hear him talk, when you listen to him and the conviction that's in his heart, and really, I mean, it's palpable.
Sure, it's easy to look at somebody who has something different than all of us and be like, oh, that's a downer. That's feel empathy for him or something like that. But when a lot of them, you look at it like, man, they're making it work with just one less.
I need to get off my ass.
Yeah, that's what I impressive. Felt. No matter what that is, iPad. We got it all in teams, man. Like Job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he gets shot, loses the eye, man.
Yeah.
And remember when he showed up, he had that he had his glass eye and had the trident on it. And all the team guys were like, "Oh man, I need to get one of those." That's how dark our humor is. Like, oh man, that's cool, dude. God. That's cool. I might need one of those.
Oh, bless him, man.
Because you got to hand it to modern medicine, because they've come so far. When the wars first kicked off and dudes would be like, hey man, keep the leg, even if it was just a piece of skin.
Yeah, just a little skin.
Can't hold on. No, dude. And they go through all those surgeries to keep it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, dude, man, a guy get a splinter in his kneecap, is like, take the leg. Give me that one. Give me that bionic.
Give me the bionic one, the blade. Give me that blade.
I could kick through a ship. Kind of deal, man.
It's got knives on it,
Iron Man. I can fly from it. You don't even test me.
That's awesome. Well, it's such a privilege to have Chad on, and I'm really looking forward to.
I gotta say, he has a lot of those legs. I mean, because he does so much stuff. He accessorizes. I mean, I was making fun. I was like, man, you got a leg for every occasion, kind of. You got a dancing leg, and I mean. Why don't you get a driving leg, because we need to go a little faster? You know what I mean? And the expression on his face is just priceless, because I know my words didn't have any weight coming at him because of what I know he can do. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
That's the humor in it. I'm going to bag on you about it because you're better than I am without it. I'm not bagging on you because you got a prosthetic and you're weaker than me. It kind of, most people, if they would shift their meanness like that, like, I don't like you because you were just way too prettier than me. That was always my joke. I never forget my first interview on television when I got out was the Today Show with Matt Lauer.
I remember it well.
Well, people don't know, and I don't really talk about this. I was backstage with Mark Zuckerberg, and I had no idea who he was. Right. I had no idea, and he had a Harvard sweatshirt on, pants. It was cold.
Yeah,
and I was in a tie. They made me dress up.
Yeah,
and
you look good, by the way.
Thank you. I bring out the bat suit. I didn't own one. That was the hilarious part about it. You know what that was? On my 5'11", That was my 511 suit, so it had mag pouches. So and my MP5. And we're sitting back, I had no idea what Facebook was. I mean, I just gotten back from Ramadi, you know, it was back in the day. And he had that Harvard, and I go, hey, Harvard, huh? And he's like, yeah. I go, I didn't go there. Yeah, in the back of my head, I was thinking, you know, I'm out now, and I was like, and he had, the way he had that sweatshirt on the Today Show, and I was in a suit. Team guy mentality. I was like, oh, this dude's got something in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come on here like that.
Yeah, just like I don't got a care in the world.
But it did say Harvard, and I was like, well, so he's gonna be smart. And I was like, you know, maybe I ought to. Hey, what's up, buddy? You know, kind of deal.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends from Harvard except for in the teams. And I didn't even watch him go on. I was out of there. I had no idea, but that was, you know, it's kind of one of them deals. Remember, you never know what you're looking at.
You don't. You can't judge a book by its cover.
No, he did. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg done great things. I don't, like I said, I don't know him personally. We just kind of
a billion followers, man. I mean, the guy, you know, regardless of what you think about what he says or whatever, but he connects the world.
Right, and I mean, you're going to hear negative stuff about everybody. And what I love about that, man, is you know, some people when people start coming at him, I mean, they'll back down, right?
Yeah.
And you got to understand, I mean, he had that vision in his head of what that's how.
Never quit.
That's how his mind works. You know, you kind of see it like that, man. Like, I have an idea how to do this. And people, I mean, the world is a connected place, correct?
Amen. I mean, look at the
I'm not a Facebook. I have no idea. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
look at the small circles that we just had on here today. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, Chad was a part of Red Wings in a way, right? I mean,
that's the military, as big as it is as small as, I mean, it's
in our community in particular. And in case you guys don't know who are listening, man, Chad Fleming, you know, his Ranger group, you know, they 2nd and 7th, 5th Rangers, they went in to secure Marcus, and then his troop came in after, went to go recover everybody else. And so, you know, having them become friends and to hear their stories together and how they talk about it, I mean, that's awesome, man.
I mean, it was. And in that situation, you got to understand, if anybody it was so because of the fallen angel. I mean, everything went so bad. If you were in theater in 05, you were showing up. That kind of deal, man. And that's the crazy part about it. The part that gets me is I hadn't been able to thank. Every time I come across somebody, and a lot of people are like, hey, I was part of Red Wing. I was like, I really have no doubt. You know what I mean? Normally, somebody says something about a mission, Mogadishu, whatever it is. You're like, hey, I don't remember you being there, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
But so many people had a hand in getting me out of there. And that's, man, you want to talk about why I am the way I am? Because most of them didn't know me. Anybody who knew me were dead. And they, no matter what, and those Rangers and Green Berets, man, they trumped the same trail trying to find me. I kept moving, remember? And then when the village snatched me up, they moved me way out.
Right.
And they, no matter what, and them guys were falling out. I mean, they came into that camp when they found me. I mean, they were looking like I was.
They were smoked,
dude. I mean, bad. And
that's the Ranger, man.
And not stop. I mean, even when your boys kind of other things just falling around, and this storm hit, man, the night before that no one knows about, and they had the intel they had on me wasn't absolutely 100% on point. So they were sitting out in that. I was at least in a covered house,
right?
And it was a gnarly one. And when they come rolling in, dude, I was like, and then they had to stay out because there's so many aspects of Red Wings that we weren't allowed to talk about. Right. But they had to do follow on. They had to stay out. They didn't get on the helo with me.
No, they kept that, right?
And we were in a gunfight.
Unbelievable.
You know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
I mean, it was awesome. So the fact that everyone showed up to help me, not knowing me, and it's funny because when the Rangers got in there and we kind of got out, I was like, hey, even in the house, when they got me, I was like, guys, go ahead, man, let me have it. Because I know if you were out here and I was coming out here having to look for you, going through all that crap, I'd have been like cussing my name. You know what I mean? And that's how we do it. It's that misery. Like, can you believe this seal get lost out here? And it's raining, and I was supposed to go home. Spanky, the pilot, was supposed to go home. He's like, I got to go home. I mean, 4th of July, I'm so excited, into the pump kind of deal. And everybody, I mean, I knew it. And I'm just like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry you had to come get me. It's funny kind of deal. You know, I'm like, took you this far out down the rabbit hole, so to speak. But hey, we got back, and they pulled me back out of it. See, that was the thing about it. That's the connection, man, is I was all the way down there.
You were in the hole, bud.
I'm not anything. There's nothing special about what I was in. It's kind of luck of the draw if you look at it from a military perspective, like we do. And I just got held down there a little longer. Everybody goes down into the pit, right? That's military life.
It's inevitable.
Right. That's why we do it, and we're good at it. But every now and again, one of us will get left down in there for a while, and that's where I was.
You did.
Right. So, needless to say, they had to come when they pulled me out of there, and then, I said I'd start climbing my way back out, and I couldn't have done that without any of them. Mentally, that's the reason I've never had any problem with the mental part of it, is because of what I saw to get me out of there.
And that's remarkable.
It's unbelievable.
Well, you look, and that's what Chad and you are proving. That's what we're trying to help people do, and that's why people are tuning into the Never Quit podcast.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sorry if I didn't get my point across. That's the point, though. You got to understand, he, not even knowing who I was or anything like that, had that attitude. All of them guys had that attitude to come get me.
Period.
And now we met way down the road, and I was telling him, it's the fact is, it boils down to this, man. Hey, look, I stayed with my never quit attitude kind of deal just because I knew you were. I didn't have any idea who you were. I just owed that to you. And if you're gonna come get me, I can at least stay going. So you can't thank him enough. Saying thank you is kind of one of them, whatever deals. Well, I have to do that. That's not the point.
It's not the point.
One of those deals we say, why you and I know each other are brothers, because when I wake up in the morning, no matter what happened, I don't have to apologize.
Ever.
Nah.
Ever.
It's just, hey, we got, he's down there. We got him back out. We're good to go.
It's good. And that's why we do what we do, man. And that's why Chad's doing what he's doing. And that's why we're here on the air for you, is to provide you with that insight. Now, if you want to follow up and follow Chad's how-to, please visit us, his story on our After Action section at the tnqpodcast.com page, right? That's tnqpodcast.com page, where you'll find Chad's After Action, a bunch of other After Actions, and all the stuff. And that's the nitty gritty. That's the how-to. That's the how-to. So, man, this has been probably my favorite episode by far, brother. I just really, I love sitting here with you. I love being across the table. I love hearing Chad's story, man. It's got me all fired up, and it makes me want to thank some people who've allowed me to get here, my team. And that first thank you goes out to God, to Christ. I want to thank my beautiful wife, the Admiral, my children, my family. I want to thank my friends, my teammates, and I want to thank you, the listeners, because without you coming on board, without you wanting to hear what we have to say, man, we'd figure out another way to do it, but we appreciate you being here. Marcus?
Thank God for giving me my abilities. Thank the people in my life up to this point who gave me the opportunity to use them, and thank the boss for containing the rage and marrying me and loving me and giving me what I consider to be heaven on earth. Because like we talk about, man, either way we go, you make what you got right now.
You make what you got. That's all we got. We're out.